I just wanted to talk about these things briefly, maybe long, I don't know. First thing I wanted to talk about was, you know, this government's, their, I'm trying to think of a word for it, but it's not coming to mind. But their willingness to pretty much sacrifice people for their profit margin. And I made a post about it, briefly the other day. The fact that you have corporations willing to reopen an amusement park in the midst of a state where coronavirus cases are rising at a rapid level. They're rising again at a rapid level, and they're still opening the park. They had this welcome home commercial. I'm gonna put the clip in there. The mask on, talking about welcome home, what have you. And I just have to really be baffled as to the audacity of these people. You know what I'm saying? Because the people that's making these decisions, they're not going out and risking their lives. They're not worried about getting the virus. They're sitting home comfortably. They're still working from home. These people that's making these decisions, they're working from home. They're sitting there having Skype conferences and Zoom conferences and whatever, making these decisions. The ones that are exposed are the ones who are underpaid anyway, because Disney World has a long history of underpaying their employees while they making millions upon millions of dollars. Entry to Disney World just in one of the theme parks is expensive in itself, not to mention hotel stay and stuff like that, especially if you want to be close to the park. So they making millions, and then most of the hotels that's close to the park, Disney owns those too. So they making millions upon millions of dollars every day, and they don't pay their workers right. You know what I'm saying? So not only do you underpay your workers, but you put them out there in the midst of cases rising because you want that profit to keep going up, or your profit margin is going down because of this whole shutdown thing. So you have to sit there and keep them that money going for your yachts and your so-called business trips and what have you. Yeah, you got to keep up that money, right? It's ridiculous. It's just utterly ridiculous that this is what they resort to. And because they have this blatant disregard for science, they have this blatant disregard for what's going on with the virus, it's because of that the cases are going back up. It's because of that. But are they gonna shut back down? I doubt it. Ron DeSantis, he's one of the repubs that, you know, he seems to be on the wrong side of things already. From what I know, this is his first term, and he's already, you know, he's I wouldn't say he's just as moronic as Agent Orange, but maybe in the same realm. It's absolutely crazy that they doing this, you know. And it's not just opening up theme parks. It's just this reurgence to open up all over. Now, New York has been opening up, but slowly. They've been playing it safe, you know. And even we right now we're in phase 3, and even with that, with phase 3, they were supposed to go back to indoor dining, and because they seen the cases rising in other states, they sat there and reneged. They said, okay, we're gonna do phase 3, but we're gonna still keep the outdoor dining. And who knows when phase 4 is gonna come into effect because of all this going on. And then you have people traveling from here to Florida in the midst of the cases rising. So I mean, this is a sticky situation, and I'm not this big I'm not this big player in the COVID-19 fear, but I acknowledge it, and I respect other people's fear of it. You know, me personally, it doesn't really bother me all that much. I mean, I do take my precautions. Don't get me wrong. But, you know, I have a relatively strong immune system, and I've always had one. You know, I'm getting older, but my immune system seems to be still, withstanding. So, you know, that's not an excuse to, go and do anything. I still wear my mask. You know what I'm saying? And I got the mask not really for me, but out of respect for other people. So I don't even understand like people having this fit about wearing a mask, and they having a fit about wearing a mask in a store. Why don't you sit there and 9 times out of 10 these places, these people in these places, they driving everywhere they go. So you don't need the mask in the car. You can sit there and be mask free all you want in the car. You can be mask free all you want in your house. Just simply put it on for that little bit of time that you're shopping, and then take it right back off. What's so hard about that? What is so hard about that? And it's not even just for you, it's just respect for other people. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, that's the nonsense that's going on with that. Another thing I wanted to touch on, this whole thing with Nick Cannon is trending. I never really can speak too much on these celebrity things because I see it on my timeline, and I know bits and pieces because of on my timeline. I never bother to look and research into it or what have you. Because frankly, I don't really see the reason to. But um, I guess it's somewhat interesting because he apparently said some disparaging things. Well, they consider it disparaging. Um, he said some things about white supremacy, which was absolutely true. Like it or not, absolutely true. And he also said things about, black people being the original Jews. Now, that is a touchy subject, and a lot of people might not like it, but there is some kind of fact to it. That's what people don't want to understand, because if you want to look at the original Semites and what the word means, it basically is describing people of African descent. People of African descent, even if they have fair skin, is still not pale skin. There's a difference. Even the lightest of Puerto Ricans, the lightest of Dominicans, can still be distinguished as Hispanic, despite that. It's not even about the complexion. They can still be distinguished as Hispanic with that complexion. So I had somebody, I commented, I can't remember verbatim what I said, but I basically said, the original Semites weren't of pale persuasion. Somebody, made it their business to comment and say, what makes you think that they was black? And he went into this whole thing about Egyptians being light skinned and blah 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 blah. I ain't gonna lie, I didn't even read the whole comment because I mean, when your basic premise is built off your own opinion and bullshit, I'm not gonna really pay much attention to it or whatever. I said basically, if that's your argument, then we don't have an argument, especially because Twitter only allows a certain amount of characters, and I'm not doing all that typing. To sit there and do a whole bunch of typing, you got to sit there and comment, then comment on that comment, then comment on that comment. I'm not doing all that. I'm not doing all that. And if you really wanted to know, you can research it. It's out there if you really wanted to know. But a lot of people want to come on with disingenuous intent. They don't really want to be taught anything. They don't want to really learn anything new. They just want to sit there and counteract what you said. They just want to have a rebuttal. They just want to refute what you said, even though you can't really refute facts. You know what I'm saying? And nothing against. I've met some good Jews. I don't know all the denominations of the Jews, so I'm not gonna sit there and act like I do. The other Jews I have met are solid. The other Jews I have met have been in protest and have fought for a lot of things for us. You know what I'm saying? Those are not the ones I'm talking about. I'm talking about the ones who, anytime you say anything against them, it's anti-Semitic. That's crazy. Even if it's not even something really negative, but it's something that they don't like, it's considered anti-Semitic. That's nonsense to me. That shows they have a lot of freaking power. So this dude wanted to sit there and make these stupid comments, like he was proving some kind of point, and then wanted to go into about something about um 75% of children in black families are born out of wedlock, and something about playing the victim role, saying that we worked harder and so on and so forth. Let me say something about that, because a lot of people want to talk about us like we don't work hard. There's lazy people in every single race, every single race. You know what I'm saying? But don't talk about we don't work. Plenty of us sit there and work 2 to 3 jobs and still barely make it. You know what I'm saying? A lot of us work hard and to no avail. Don't tell me that you were more successful because you worked harder. Get out of here with that. A lot of us have worked hard to no avail. You know what I'm saying? Y'all have jump starts. Jump starts. You know what I'm saying? Y'all even got reparations from this country for something that didn't even happen in this country. But you don't want to talk about that though. You don't want to talk about that though. You know what I'm saying? Many of y'all own many of properties. Y'all own many entities in Hollywood. That's why y'all have the power that if anything is said against you, y'all have the power to get somebody fired. We don't have that kind of power. And you sit there and act like, oh, you want to make some joke about, oh, let me get my Jewish privilege card. I mean, that sounds like privilege to me. You know what I'm saying? Maybe your situation might not exactly fit that, but I'm not talking about your situation. I'm talking about this situation in a whole. I look at things in a panoramic view. You look at it in a full screen view. I always like to use that analogy because, people think the full screen view is better because it fills up the whole screen. Whereas the panoramic view, you have those two black marks on the top and bottom, and you think that you're seeing less because the screen is not fully full. That's not the case. You know what I'm saying? Because when you look at it in the full screen, a lot of the surrounding areas is cut out. The panoramic view shows the more of the background and more of the scene. That's why movies are always cut in widescreen. That's why the movie screen is widescreen. But nobody thinks about that. Anyway, I think of things in the panoramic view, so I look at things in the big light, not the little light. I'm not going to look at just your situation or what have you, but as a whole, Jews have a lot of freaking power. Don't get it twisted. We don't have that same kind of power. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, like I also said, I don't care about this whole chosen people thing. I don't get into that nonsense or whatever. If you're so chosen, then why is a lot of things going on? If you're so chosen, I don't want to hear that chosen stuff. But what I emphasized was it is wrong if you can trace back the original Semites to Africa and people of African descent, but then you have people calling themselves Semites and they of the pale persuasion, and if you trace back, they come from Europe, then something's wrong with that. And that's a discussion that a lot of people don't want to have. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not anti-Semitic, but a lot of people will sit there and say so because I said something that wasn't in the light of the good light of Jews. I'm not bashing Jews at all. I'm just saying what's facts. You know what I'm saying? It could be backed up. I don't, I'm not here to sit there and give you everything. You have to look up some stuff for yourself. And I can't remember everything off the top of my head. I don't have that kind of memory. I don't. But I know it can be proven. I know the little bit I'm saying, that's why I'm only saying a little bit. The little bit I'm saying is based off of fact. So, that's the thing with that. But anyway, getting back to the main point of Nick Cannon, this was a classic example of when you don't have your own power, if you don't have your own platform and power, you can't go on saying things that goes against the narrative of the people that's cutting your check. Because the minute you do that, they're gonna fire you. You know what I'm saying? But you know, I understand why he backtracked, but it kills me how he backtracked so fast. So fast. I feel like if you are adamant about something and you feel it's true, you should stand on those principles, even if you have lost your job. But he backtracked so fast, and reportedly, allegedly, he done sat there and deleted videos of him talking all that pro-black stuff. So it shows the level of power that we don't have and the level of power that they do have. The level of power white supremacists do have, and that's a problem. And so when we talk about building equity, we talk about buying black. That's what we talk about. We're not talking about, being anti-white. That's the thing. Everybody thinks everything is anti-white. No, we're just trying to have our piece of the pie that we deserve. Y'all have a piece of the pie. Some of y'all have some big chunks of the freaking pie. You know what I'm saying? We just want our piece of the pie. You know what I'm saying? We never sat there and plotted revenge or tried revenge or anything like that. All we ever wanted was equity. You know what I'm saying? More so than equality, because equality and equity are two different things. Two different things. You know what I'm saying? we'll never have that equality as long as people see us as the bottom feeders. See, people see our women as welfare queens. They see us men as deadbeat dads, and the list goes on. We'll never have that equality. We never really did have equality, and we don't have equity for sure. The average black family only makes 1/10 of the average white family, 1/10 the income. Part of that is due to when they um and when they had, damn, it was right on the tip of my tongue, um the Fair Housing Act, which wasn't really fair, but it was backed by federal funding. Um, the name of the agency is slipping me. It's probably gonna come to me later. But when they did that, they made it their business to only subject it to white people, white families. That's when redlining came in. So, you know, white families was able to build that equity because having a house builds equity. Especially once you pay that off, the every year that you're paying, you're building equity. And once you pay that off, that's equity that you can sit there and turn into assets. That's part of your wealth. Black family wasn't afforded that. Black families were not afforded that. You know, you had um you had veteran loans. You had VA loans that black people were sitting there, they was rejected from, that gave white people a head start. There's so many things that gave white people 100-mile head start that we didn't have. So, don't talk to me about we didn't work hard enough. A lot of the stuff that white families enjoy is not because they work so hard. They work so much harder than us. And it's really funny hearing that from people who sat there and watched people work for them for free for hundreds of freaking years. We're the lazy ones, but we worked for free for hundreds of years. And after that, we have worked some of the most menial jobs, and we have made it. We have sat there and found some way to pull through, and yet we're the lazy ones. We didn't work hard enough. Are you kidding me? You need to get that out of your vocabulary, man, for real. All that welfare queen stuff and the deadbeat dad stuff. Get that out of your vernacular, for real, because you're talking nonsense when you say this stuff. You know, so with that whole Nick Cannon thing, this is all the more reason why we have to have our own platforms, and we don't get it. We don't get it. And a lot of us are in the position to do so, but we still sit in there begging for crumbs on these white people's platforms. And the minute we sit there and don't go with their narrative, bye bye. That's it. So we have to learn from that. And white people, if you're really allies, you should be sitting there, fighting for Nick to get his job back, especially after he did this, little apology, because that's what white people do to us when they sit there and say something disparaging. They give this apology that's only given because they want their check back, or they lost their check. You know, that's the only reason. And so I'm not gonna sit there and put Nick on in any different category. But I know that's why he did it. But nonetheless, you know, I think a lot of him is sincere, and he shouldn't have left got fired for basically saying the truth. He didn't really say anything really disparaging. He didn't say anything like to really criticize him, to my knowledge. So that's my take on that. The last thing I wanted to talk about was you know, and I talk about this I think in a lot of my other videos I kind of touch on it, whatever, but the disingenuousness of a lot of white people, the pandering, you know, John Lewis, rest his soul, and I made a couple of comments that, I stand corrected because my friend, he sat there and he made some points, and, I kind of feel bad because I like, but, he made some good points, but, you know, rest in peace, John Lewis, you know, you had a couple of people who, wanted to so-called pay their respects, but instead of putting a picture of them with John Lewis, they put a picture of them with Elijah Cummings. Now, granted, Elijah Cummings and John Lewis do look alike, but if you actually work with these people, you actually met these people, you should know the difference. You should know the pictures that you have or what have you. And then on top of that, you probably don't even have the pictures in your camera roll or saved or whatever. You Google the picture or somebody sent it to you because somebody else took the picture of you in that person or what have you. But that shows how disingenuous you are. That shows that you never really cared for that person in the first place because you would know that you're putting up the wrong picture. You would know to put up the right picture. This goes along with, a lot of white people who are very disingenuous. Smile in your face, ask you about your family and all that good stuff, but in the end, they only tolerate you. And it's only because they have to. If they can go back to when they didn't even have to talk to you or they could sit there and reprimand you for even looking in their face or looking them in the eye, they would go back to that. Let's not get it twisted. A lot of y'all are fake out here. But if you want to be a real freaking ally, let's really push for equity. Let's push for equity. And really act like there is some equality. Like we are human. And reparations now. Push for reparations. We deserve it. You do all the research and you'll see why we deserve it. Don't get in your emotions. Don't sit there and talk about why should I pay for something that happened over 150 something years ago. Don't give me all that bullshit. Do the research. Do the research. See what has happened. See how this system has been built on race and it has affected us to this day. Do the research because it's out there. It's not about the fact that you didn't own slaves and your parents didn't own slaves and blah, blah, blah. It doesn't have to do with that. It doesn't have to do with that. And what has affected black families still goes on to this day. Things didn't just stop with slavery. It didn't. So cut it out. Stop acting like it stopped with slavery. It did not. It did not. Many disparities still go on. Still go on. It doesn't matter how many celebrities we have, how many basketball players make millions of dollars, or what have you. That doesn't change the overall narrative that as a collective, black people are the bottom of the totem pole. It is not because we don't work hard. It's not because we want handouts. It's not because we love welfare and we love child support. Child support don't even freaking help nobody anyway. It helps the government more than it helps the freaking child. I talked about that in my podcast, but I mean, I'll talk about it a little bit on here because a lot of people don't talk about it, and some people don't even know. It's not even, a lot of times it's not even about the payment. It's about the fact that child support has so much power. You fall behind just because you in between jobs or whatever your situation might be. You fall behind. You stand a chance of your license being suspended, your bank account being frozen, your taxes being taken, and so much more. Now, with the license being suspended, you might be in a situation where you need to drive to and from work. You might actually, part of your job might be driving. So you absolutely need your license. You getting your license suspended defeats the purpose because now, if your license is suspended, you can't drive. You can't drive, you can't work. You can't work, you can't pay the child support. Now with the bank account being frozen, now they love to freeze your bank account, and I know this from personal experience. They love to freeze your bank account either at the end of the month or the beginning of the month, which is generally the same amount of time. It's usually the time where you have to pay bills. It's usually the time when you have to pay rent. That's when they love to freeze your bank account. So now your bank account's frozen. You done just wrote that rent check. It bounced. Now you got to sit there and worry about late fees. You got to sit there and go to the child support office and bring them three bank statements and then wait for them to make a decision to unfreeze your account. Meanwhile, you got to pay them late fees. And with a lot of the banks, when your account is frozen, they charge you a fee. So now you're even losing money. You're losing more money. Now you might wind up sitting there getting behind in the child support again. Even more. It's not helping anybody. It's more of a hindrance than a help. That's what a lot of people don't freaking understand. They don't understand that. But, I didn't come on here to talk about that. I just wanted to talk about that briefly. Yeah, so, I think I'll leave y'all with that. I discussed the Nick Cannon thing, the disingenuous thing from the white people, and, capitalism, you know, and touching back on capitalism, you know, many would love you to believe that this country needs capitalism and it has to thrive on capitalism. That's nonsense. This country could do just fine without capitalism. Capitalism is more of a hindrance than a help. It's more of a hindrance than a help. And I guess I could talk more on that, but capitalism is just nothing but pure greed, and it is based off of profit margins. It's based off of basically keeping up consumption while keeping costs down. Capitalism all around is just utterly evil. Because we, the consumers, we live in this consumption world. We just have to buy these products, and these products in turn make all these CEOs rich. While we're using money that we shouldn't even be spending, but we spend it, and they're rich, and we're still worrying about how to pay the bills and living check to check, or we have that little bit of extra money, so that's why we spend it. But they're rich. They don't have to worry about nothing. And another part of the reason why they're rich is because they sit there and pay their employees the lowest wages they can possibly pay or get away with paying, while they sit there and take in all the profits. And when people are sitting there making very little money, they're not helping the economy much. And they want to pay more taxes than the people that's sitting there more than able to pay the taxes. But they want you to believe that capitalism is good, socialism is bad. Plenty of people want to sit there and associate socialism with communism, and many people that sit there and scream out "commie" or "communist" don't even know what the full term really means. You know, but it's also protected by the people who believe in this American dream, but believe that they can be the next millionaire or billionaire. So they protect these millionaires and billionaires because it if you attack their system, then they feel like when they become a millionaire or billionaire, then you're attacking them. 9 times out of 10, they will never make that millionaire, billionaire status. But they have that hope and that dream. And that's why they protect the millionaires and billionaires, even though they know they're being robbed blind. That's what makes capitalism so evil. And like I said, they're so into their profit margin and so into capitalism that they're willing to open an amusement park in a state where cases are rising. And with that being said, I'm going to end this video.